Hello, everyone. Glad to see you again, or for the first time. I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. So, when you're old, you're going to look back and see how your life was. You're going to reflect on it, right? And some things I think we don't necessarily value correctly or don't have the best consideration of for what is most important. And I have another video kind of talking about some of that, so hopefully you find it somewhere. Anyways, I think there are a lot of stages in our life that we go through. You can even line that up, like psychology wise, there's Eric Erickson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. Those each lay out like a specific ground for an individual to go through that they either succeed in or don't. And if you don't, it's not a catastrophic failure, you can still recover from that. But effectively, it's saying you need to fulfill these certain qualities of a being so that you can, at the very final stage, the end of your life, either be content with what you've done or realize there were things you missed. And nobody wants to be the person who missed stuff, right? So for me, it's always been great to have periods of reflection. And it's not always a thing you can instigate on your own. Sometimes events need to make it so that you reflect, but it never hurts to try, you know? There are a good number of videos online with people kind of planning out their ideal future, and I think some sense that works, but you really want to be careful of narrowing your scope too specifically, because you're going to miss out on a more holistic perspective, a more full life enrichment perspective if you really just narrow down on specific stuff. And that's incredible, like, it's something where you could go like interview a bunch of old dying people, but that doesn't, that kind of feels tactless and frankly a bit impractical too. So what is kind of better is to live life like you're old, really, for a lot of reasons. If you live like you're old, you live with less stress. That's just inherently beneficial. You live with more confidence, again, something that compounds very well. You're able to kind of really solidify what makes you you, and even if there aren't things there yet that you can say base your identity, you still feel like you are a well put together and like complete individual. And that's really valuable for kind of building on a lot of other stuff, If you believe in yourself and believe in a strong form of your character, that's going to allow you to add on things very easily. Whereas if you don't really know who you are, you're going to jump around a lot, be a lot less assertive in what things you do end up incorporating into yourself, and it's going to kind of fall apart in that sense, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what else can become who you are. And lastly, just old people have a very, not always, but most old people, especially the very old people who've made it long enough, have a very good perspective on what matters to them and what doesn't. And that's something that can vary a bit for people, but the overall consensus is like, relationships, family, experiences. It's not money, it's not always success, it's not the fame or the fortune. It's really the most value you can get out of your life, and there's a beautiful TED Talk on this recently. The value you get is through connecting with others or finding a very strong sense of purpose or passion. And frankly, you have that and you kind of find balance to your life, and I think you're good. So there's no like contemplative message here. Go on in your life, find things to fill the gaps in your life. If you're spending 10 hours on YouTube a day like I used to and still do, something's missing, okay? You need to find other stuff there, find more people to talk to, find something else to pick up, find a pursuit that you can that you can work towards with dedication and purpose. And that's going to really benefit you in the long run and lead to a life that feels, if not complete, then at least well achieved, because it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to be something that you tried on, Perfection isn't the mark of success, but effort almost certainly is. So if you haven't tried, you haven't succeeded. If you have tried, you can claim that as a success, regardless of if things turned out the way you wanted them to or not.